All right, series is back. 1932, 1933. We are in the midst of the Depression, but thankfully that's going to end with the Second World War soon. Boy, howdy, I tell you. The Toronto Maple Leafs lead the Canadian division 24-18-6. Montreal Maroons 22-20-6. Montreal Canadiens 18-25-5. New York Americans 15-22-11. Look who's back as the Ottawa Senators 11-27-10 after a year off, and they wouldn't last in Ottawa much longer. This logo will not be featured in this series. I think this was their last year. I think the next year they moved. Boston leads the American Division 25-15-8. They are tied with Detroit for that. Then the New York Rangers 23-17-8 and Chicago 16-20-12. So the American Division is far stronger than the Canadian Division. So that's some depression for you. The Hart winner, Eddie Shore of the Boston Bruins. The Calder goes to Carl Voss of Detroit. The Vezina goes to Tiny Thompson of Boston. Remember, the Vezina goes to the lowest goals against average. And the Lady Byng goes to Frank Boucher of the New York Rangers because he seems to win that all the time. Goals leader is Bill Cook of the Rangers with 38. And the assists goes to Frank Boucher with 28. Frank Boucher leads in assists with 28 as well, again for the New York Rangers. Salary cap is instituted by the Board of Governors of $70,000 per team. 70 grand. The Red Wings officially become the Red Wings. So they'd been the Cougars, then the Falcons. They are now officially the Detroit Red Wings going forward. The playoffs are a bit of a different setup still. So your division leaders face off with a chance to go to the Stanley Cup final and bypass the other rounds that the other teams are going through, and you have your cross-pollination rounds, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, and then the winners of those series playing against each other with a chance to face the winner of 1 versus 1. In Series A, 1 versus 1, Boston wins 2-1, triple overtime. Boston loses the second game in overtime to Toronto, 1-0. Toronto loses Game 3 to Boston, 2-1 in overtime. Toronto wins Game 4, 5-3, and then wins Game 5 by a score of 1-0. So the Boston Bruins lose that series 3-2. Series B and C, so these are the quarterfinals. Detroit beats the Maroons 2-0. Detroit beats the Maroons 3-2 to win that series 5-2. So it's total score again. Series C, the Montreal Canadiens lose to the New York Rangers 5-2. The Rangers tied Montreal 3-3 in the second game to win the series by a score of 8-5. The semifinals, again, it's a 2-game total goals series. The New York Rangers win 2-0 in Game 1. The New York Rangers win Game 2 6-3. So the New York Rangers play the Toronto Maple Leafs. The New York Rangers win Game 1 5-1. All's great. Game 2 is in Toronto. So only Game 1 is in Madison Square Garden. 2, 3, and 4 are all in Toronto. Probably because of the circus. It's always the circus. The New York Rangers win Game 2 3-1. Toronto wins Game 3 3-2 to keep the series alive. But the New York Rangers win Game 4 in overtime 1-0. And the Rangers win in 4. It's a best of 5. They win it in 4. The interesting thing, too, going back to the Toronto-Boston series, I should have mentioned, is that game featured a 6-overtime game, which was the longest in the history of the league at the time, and that was a 1-0 game. So I'm not saying it was a neutral zone trap situation, but that's certainly the score of a neutral zone trapped kind of game. But we're coming up to near the end for the Ottawa Senators, and we're coming up to a period where we're going to get down to 6 teams. We're going to get down to what we call the original 6. But this was another win for the Rangers. So an American team wins the Cup. The American side of the league is stronger. Look how bad Montreal looked that year. Doesn't look that great. And don't worry about the fact that there's not as much room on the board today because, again, Ottawa's going to be coming off. Other teams will come off. I can still use the big logos for this because up until 1967, we don't have more teams than this. This is the biggest that the league gets. And this is during the Depression. So there you go. Today's video, short and sweet. The Red Wings are now the Red Wings. The Leafs now the Leafs. All the original 6 teams going by the teams that we still know them by today. And the New York Rangers are your Stanley Cup champion for 1933. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I will talk to you again soon.